One of the values of this particular part of the world was the wool that could be produced, and Robert Campbell became very wealthy running wool in this area. So here I am at Blundells Cottage, which is only a stone's throw from the edge of Lake Burley Griffin in the centre of Canberra. The area under the lake adjacent to this cottage was some of the most fertile land in this whole region, and it was ploughed and it was tended from the 1860s. One of the values of this particular part of the world was the wool that could be produced, and Robert Campbell became very wealthy running wool in this area and producing wool which was exported all over the world. He built this cottage for his ploughman, William Ginn, in 1860, and the Ginn family lived here for many years, and then several other families followed. At the end of its working life, this cottage was the home of Alice Oldfield, and she lived until she died in this house in her 90s. And at that stage, in 1958, this little cottage was sitting in the middle of Canberra, and they still had a farm on the land just adjacent to where I am, under what's now Lake Burley Griffin. When Alice died, they were going to demolish this cottage because it was in the centre of the city and make it into parkland, but fortunately it was preserved, and now it's a really important part of this park that runs along the northern edge of Lake Burley Griffin. Of course, after 1958, shortly after, 5 years later, the area that had been being farmed then went underwater with Lake Burley Griffin, and so the area that was the farm now can't be seen, but it's actually under the water that we can see in front of the cottage. It's fantastic that we should have this cottage still remaining in the city, and it's a representation of how people lived up until 1958, no less, in cottages like this all over the district, and in fact all over pastoral Australia. I hope you've enjoyed this clip, and look, Canberra Guided Tours runs fantastic trips all around the Canberra district. If you've liked what you've seen, we do stories about people, we do stories about places, we do stories about fascinating buildings. So please come to Canberra. When you're here, check out Canberra Guided Tours, and we'd love to see you along on one of our trips one day. Thank you.